To this story now, SADC organ on politics, defense and security will meet in Harare, Zimbabwe this weekend to discuss elections in the SADC region. The main focus will be the disputed election results in Mozambique. The opposition in that country has been protesting after the Electoral Commission announced that Frelimo and its presidential candidate won the elections. The Constitutional Council still has not approved the results. It's hoped that the SADC gathering will come up with a solution.
The extraordinary summit is important because it will discuss issues related to the security in the region.
We will continue to call for CAR as South Africa that whatever protest must happen within the ambit of the law without destruction of property and so forth. And we do the same with regards to law enforcement, even in Mozambique, which the outgoing president and the president-elect have also called that there must be restraint in also handling of the protest. So we will be in line with that and await the outcomes of the Constitutional Council of Mozambique, which we everyone plays an importance as the prime and the supreme resolver of disputes.
It is the obligation of SADC now to then call all the affected parties together and have them create a platform of dialogue to resolve their own pertinent crisis.
All right, to discuss this further, we're joined by SABC News International Editor Sophie Mokoena. Good afternoon, Sophie. All the talk this upcoming summit that the issue on Mozambique will be just top of the agenda, but what is the likelihood that this matter will actually in earnest be resolved, or that there's some sort of a decisive resolution on how it should be resolved?
Well, you are correct. Before we get into Namibia, as you can see on my background, that we will be talking about Namibia. Yes, the SADC meeting is quite important in a sense that you expect the leaders of the region to talk about the situation in Mozambique. You know that the leader of the opposition, this opposition is not currently the main opposition in Mozambique, but if they were to take their seats after the final announcements of results by the Constitutional Council, they will be the opposition. The leader has called on his members to go out in the streets to continue to protest, and we believe that there's going to be more pressure this weekend as they try to send a message to the ministers of foreign affairs in the region who will be meeting in Harare as part of the preparation for the meeting or the summit of the leaders to discuss this issue of Mozambique, and therefore this meeting is quite important.
But Sophie, there was also the aspect of the current SADC chair, that's Emmerson Mnangagwa, congratulating Frelimo even before the official announcement of those results. Does that not already taint or bring into question his own impartiality as they attempt to intervene in this whole situation?
Yes, many people have raised this concern that because he was quick to congratulate Frelimo before the Electoral Commission made an announcement, that was being biased. And I think as the chair of the region, I think his advisors were supposed to advise him to wait until the Electoral Commission has pronounced. And also the SIOM. SIOM is the observer mission of the region. When they have presented their report, then you can congratulate the country. But congratulating Frelimo, single out Frelimo and not the country as the chair of the SADC, that was bound to cause challenges. You know that there were issues around South Africa. But when you look at what South Africa did, South Africa waited for the observer missions of both SADC and AU to pronounce, and also for the Electoral Commission in that country to make a pronouncement before congratulating the country. And therefore, I think this is something that's going to be problematic. But at the end of the day, he is the chair of SADC, and he has to convene this meeting, and he has to preside over this meeting. The good thing is that as the chair, he cannot be a facilitator in terms of when you have issues in the region. They will have to appoint or nominate a country that can mediate or that can look after this matter. As you know that with Lesotho, President Ramaphosa was a facilitator for the Lesotho talks, but when he became the SADC chair, he had to appoint the former Deputy Chief Justice Dikgang Moseneke to do that job, because he was then the chair of SADC.
And I suppose that will bring greater comfort to those that continue to protest in Mozambique, that you wouldn't have a chair that was quick to congratulate, being the one that facilitates this whole process. But then to current developments in Mozambique. We understand, as you've stated, that there is an intention to escalate the demonstrations in an effort to apply the pressure. But we've also seen a statement from DIRCO that 2 journalists from South Africa have since been arrested. What exactly is the story there?
Well, we don't have details. You know that when you go to any country as a journalist, you cannot enter that country without a accreditation to work. Because as a journalist, you transmit or you share information of the country. And therefore, you have to speak to the information department to get accredited to work in that country, because covering news is nothing else but working. You must, in other countries, you must also have a visa. Maybe Mozambique, you don't need a visa, but you must have a media accreditation to cover elections, and also a letter from the Department of Information in that country or Department of Foreign Affairs that indicates that you are in the country to work. Not only the accreditation from the Electoral Commission, and this is what we do all the time when we travel. You have the accreditation where the visa is a must, you have your visa, so that when you are there, you present all these documents. You even declare the equipment that you have, because with broadcasting, it gets even more complicated, because you are going to beam information from that country to the outside world.
A sovereign
so
state.
I don't know whether there were issues around that, but and also this media house, it's a Nigeria media house with perhaps bureau in South Africa.
But we have seen with reports that they have since been released by Mozambican authorities. But another big international story is the G20. What are we looking out for there?
Well, we saw earlier on that Joe Biden will be there. I think this will be part of their farewell tour. You'll have the president of China, Xi Jinping, there. The president of South Africa will be leaving tomorrow. He has to be in Brazil because he is going to take over as the chair of the G20 come December 1st. And therefore, he has to be there. And I think the main issue here will be when you look at trade and investment, the developed countries, what are they doing to help the developing countries? And for the past 3 years, the G20 chairs have been people from the developing South. After South Africa, it's going to be the developing North. And it's going to take a long time with all the countries in the North chairing the G20. And therefore, this is an opportunity for the developing South to really make their case clear and heard. And I think that's what the developing South will be doing, and President Ramaphosa will take forward that message of the developing South for the whole of next year until South Africa is the host of the G20. So it's a big one for South Africa.
All right, Sophie, thank you very much for that update. That's SABC News International Editor Sophie Mokoena speaking to us.